Hello and welcome to Stamford Bridge, where it has been a horrible week, let's face it. It began on the field with a loss to Tottenham, which was immediately dwarfed and put into perspective by a far greater loss, that of Ray Wilkins, a friend of yours and mine, and Pat Nevins. Pat.
Yeah, it's been a shock, even though he had been ill for a little while before that. It's hard to take in. When you think about Ray, you think about, obviously, a great footballer. You take that for granted almost, but honest, fair, a gentleman. I mean, all the things that you generally don't say about a lot of footballers. Likeable, universally liked and loved wherever he was, and also by fans of teams that he didn't play for as well. But he is one of ours. He absolutely is one of ours, and we all miss him. I miss him terribly. Just that we've all got memories. But when you walk around a corner and you see Ray, and you've got all these things you want to talk to him about, but he talks about you, doesn't he? Mm. He wants to know about you, about your family. And that's the thing about Ray. He was utter lovely man and a gentleman, and he's horrendously missed, horribly missed by us all.
61, far too young obviously, and Stamford Bridge has been paying all sorts of tributes. John Terry came along and popped his armband on the memorial that was with Ray's picture at the entrance to the ground. We will have more on Ray a little later in this show. A Chelsea captain, full-time, not on a one-off, at 18 years of age. Imagine that, which brings us to something a little more light-hearted this week. The youth team, the current crop of 17 and 18-year-olds trying to come through the system just like Ray and that excellent side did in the late 70s. Well, they had the first leg pat of their Youth Cup semi-final at St Andrews.
Once again, it's not bad, is it? They're not absolutely through, but I mean, they are attacking well just now. They're scoring a hell of a lot of goals, and a lot of good goals as well.
Eyes from Castillo there, Deschamps Redan poking it in, and then Uwakwe over the line. Then Birmingham desperately trying to get a possession, play it out from the back for the second goal. Billy Gilmore, very unselfish from McEachran, and there's that young man Callum Hudson-Odoi, who we may well be seeing a fair bit more of, hopefully at first team level before this season's out, especially if fourth is looking unlikely.
Well, fourth is looking unlikely. We need to make sure we get fifth. That's the other thing that's kind of important as well. But there is a strength in depth. We know there's a strength in depth there. And little tap-in goals like that, you almost take them for granted. That means a well-worked goal. That means everybody moving and understanding each other. Third man runs off the ball, and it does look easy, but in actual fact, that's the one the managers and the coaches are usually most proud of. So well done them. They're not through, but it takes something special.
6 and 6 for Charlie Brown, who got the third goal there. Well done to George McEachran again in the build-up. Now, you can still get tickets, by the way, for the second leg, but it is live here on Chelsea TV if you aren't coming along here at the Bridge. Second leg against Birmingham as they look to make a 7th straight Youth Cup final. Yes, it is a knockout competition, and yes, that is truly extraordinary. Now, also 3-0 winners since we were last with you were the PL2 boys. They won away at Derby. The game was also interesting, Pat, because Ross Barkley had his first football in a couple of months. As planned, he played an hour or so. Antonio's low on options, isn't he, with Luiz out the picture, and Pedro, and Danny Drinkwater's had his problems.
He would have got chances. He absolutely would have got games, and he would have got to understand the players, the system, the team, the manager, everything. The fans would have got to know him, but these injuries have really held him back. So let's hope he's on the brink of a few first-team games between now and the end of the season.
Now, the boys won it 3-0. Deschamps Redan scored all 3 of them. No surprise that Reece James, coming up from the back, teed up the first. This is a boy, Pat, who was 17 at the beginning of February, came from Ajax last summer. He's having some 2018. He's got 12 in 12 for Chelsea and more for the Dutch youth team
and
as well.
He's coming through at such a rate of knots, and I think he's surprising everybody.
Also from that game, a couple of wonderful bits of skill from the boys out wide. They deliver brilliantly, Reece James and Juan Castillo, but
it's quite relaxed the way he does that, and that's the third best bit of skill.
And he found a teammate, by the way, at the end of it.
Exactly, and it's the comfort in the relaxation. So that's the third best bit of skill that I've seen. This is maybe the second best that I've seen this week. That's a brilliant nuts, absolutely fantastic. Sadly, I was in Turin, and there was a better bit of skill that happened in Turin. And,
not as much of a show-off as Mr. Ronaldo. What a goal.
Honest to God, that overhead kick by Ronaldo. You've seen it in telly, it looks absolutely brilliant, but being there at the time, I am still absolutely speechless about it. It is the most amazing piece of skill. And even though he's never played for us, I, like the rest of that stadium, stood up and applauded him.
Right, now that was the youngsters. Now, first team duty, of course, that brings us to Easter Sunday and Tottenham, where there were some fairly good goals in that, sadly scored by them. But, Pat, Tottenham.
Well, it was really quite disappointing in that I think the first half we were okay, but it was just all seemed to change in that one moment, you know, just before half-time.
Obviously, it was a little bit down at the end of the game. Pre-match, though, it was sort of full of optimism, really, and a bit of fun. I didn't know what they were doing to start with, Kanté and Nevin, but it soon became apparent. It was probably easier than the rest of them.
Right, this is the face is excellent. That Eden Hazard has been a little bit quiet.
To be honest, he does look a happy bunny again, for once. You know, it's a long, long time he's had to put up with. You done well there. We've done well, haven't we?
It's no yoke.
Cracking.
Anyway, right.
Bunny was the one that had me going, and we had to stop after that because we were getting the giggles up on the gantry. Also on Sunday, in action with the Chelsea ladies. It's getting a bit twitchy in the WSL title race. 1-1. A draw against Arsenal, with Fran Kirby getting her 20th goal in 27 games across all the competitions, Pat. But only a draw, and there's been too many of them. But City lost.
Yeah, Man City are dropping points, Chelsea are dropping points as well. It's a real competition, and it's getting better every single year. So it feels bad, and we don't want to drop points, but it's good for the game in the long term.
Handful of games left for them both. City actually have a game in hand, but are now 3 points behind the Blues. So good luck to Emma Hayes. And of course, there's a European campaign for both ongoing as well. Now, one from the Netherlands. Marco van Hinkel scored again against NEC Breda. One from Portugal. Keep it brief this week. Nathan, who's playing at Belenenses on loan at the moment, has now scored against both Porto and Benfica during that loan spell. So a couple of big scalps for him there. That's it for this week's Game of Fun. OK, trivia time. Yes, it's about the long home run against Tottenham, and yes, it's now over. But we asked you, or rather, Jason asked you, which Chelsea player scored in Tottenham's previous and only win in living memory here, and then scored in the first game of the unbeaten run later in the same year. The answer was Pat Nevin's former colleague, John Bumstead, who didn't actually get that many, but he scored in both of those games. So well done to Benjamin, Ethan and Ishan, the first 3 people we picked out who got that right. This week's question is about West Ham, Pat.
Difficult question this week. Have a look at these 2 goals against West Ham.
Still has it left-footed. He's curling one! Chance here, off the bar, and surely has scored!
Right, so West Ham then, Pat. Already lost there, 1-0, with Arnautovic, who's becoming quite a pest, and you were at the London Stadium to watch them play very well against a very poor Southampton team, who we've got coming up next, so a bit of form maybe?
They were super, they were absolutely brilliant against Southampton. Southampton were awful, by the way, so that's one thing we can look forward to, because they had a terrible time.
It's funny, it's almost a year and a half now, in fact it is, since the last home game against West Ham, because it's right at the end of this season. It was right at the start of last. It was Antonio's first game here, and Costa's late goal and him going berserk on the touchline. It seems a long time ago, doesn't it?
A lot of water has passed under the bridge
just
since
a bit.
then. The way that passion and that love between the crowd and your manager grew, and it did grow from that game. It did grow from that fantastic moment when he was part of us, really.
No Diego Costa to score a last-minute winner in this game, but there is a Willian who might score the first goal, and that is the subject of our bet from our partners William Hill. 11-2. Well, Willie, who's had a very good goal-scoring 2018. What's your prediction?
I actually think we will get a few goals this time, because I think we're due a few goals. We're a wee bit unlucky against Spurs, so I'm going 3-1.
Well, that'll be good. Let's hope it is a good game, a good derby, and a bit of a pick-me-up after a tough week and a defeat to Spurs, but also the sad news about Ray. And in the words of the great man himself, let's hope it is an absolutely tremendous game of football. We'll see you next week.
I'll always look back on Chelsea as it being fun.
And the chip was perfection. Ray Wilkins.
I had great confidence in Ray Wilkins. He was mature for his age. This is the new captain of this club. And he was very powerful for about 30 yards. He could hit a few goals in one, you know.
I was brought up in the right fashion playing football. When I first joined Chelsea, it was all technique.
Wilkins, look at that ball. He saw Stanley ready to make the run.
Well, Ray Wilkins was a quality footballer and was such a lovely man.
Ray Wilkins, Chelsea through and through.
I can't tell you how much I enjoyed coming back and working with the lads. We had a fantastic team as well, and it was good fun.